Okay, we're going to turn this into a bigger thing than just, oh, I made some music at my computer, right? Going to make it into a bigger thing. So, who here, hands up in chat, who here has those voices in your head that tell you, I can't be bothered, what's the point, you know, just sit on your ass and watch telly. Who's got that voice in their head, right? Okay, lots of people have got that voice in their head. I'm telling you now, that voice is your enemy, okay? When you hear that voice, you've got to kick its butt. I have to learn this lesson over and over again, and I really feel like these days I'm on top of it. But it surprises me how often I come up against that. So I do all these things here on YouTube, right? Like I write about music, I make this type of video, I do live streams, and so often does it pop into my head this horrible voice of like, what's the point, can't be bothered, feeling lazy, right? I love most of the stuff that I do when I'm doing it. But for some reason, before I'm doing it, my brain has the ability to try and convince myself to be lazy. Don't know why. Don't know what it's trying to achieve, okay? Got no idea what it's trying to achieve. But over time, I've learned to not listen to it. So the Xisuma music channel, for example, is a great little project. I love that it's there. It's really awesome. I'm glad it is what it is and it's happening. But before that, I had to kind of battle the whole, oh, wouldn't it be great if I did this? And then in comes that voice like, oh, no, here's a reason you shouldn't, right? Right? So eventually I was like, no, I'm sick of giving into this like idea that I shouldn't try stuff. And so I went ahead with the little project. Now we've got a channel there and I love it. It's great. Every time I see a video go up on it, I'm like, awesome. I hope people enjoy that. And that's great. And, you know, I've been doing the music blog for years, but sometimes my brain's just like, oh, what's the point? Can't be bothered. Like, it's too much hassle. But then I go and write about the music and I just remind myself of how much I enjoy doing that. So, I mean, it's great that I gotten into a really good pattern with many things of knowing that I enjoy them and being able to do them. But that voice is still there. And I'm trying to develop something new. I'm trying to develop doing music again, which I did many years ago. And I've been steadily plugging away at doing little bits of music. Playing guitar has been really great to go back to again. Every time I play guitar, I really love it. That's a lot of fun. But I've been setting up my computer. It's been a while since I sat down and like made a song again, or you know, basically just doodled and come up with like a beat or something that's fun to do. It's been a while since I did that. And last night I had a little bit of time to have a go at it again. And boy, did I have this like weird moody feeling beforehand of like, oh no, it's not good enough. What's the point? Wasting your time. You'll never be able to write good songs again. All those sorts of thoughts like roaming around in my head. Why do they come up? Why do they pop up? And I really feel like I kicked that voice in the bum again because, you know, I didn't give in to it. I didn't be like, oh, do something else then. It was like, no, I'm going to power through and do this. This is what I want to do. And I had an absolute blast. I wrote some really cool melodies. I came up with a cool little synth sound. I started putting together a new song and just had a really good time. And that's all I need to do when I do that, is just have a good time. And so that voice of self-doubt, it's always trying to get in your way. It's really annoying. And I just felt like, you know, I wanted to tell y'all that, hey, I had a good time making some music. But like, it's more than that. It's like, what is with this self-doubt? All the time. Why is we got this internal voice trying to tell us not to do stuff? It's really irritating. And so I overcame it and I got to taste the fruits of my labor, because where I've been setting up this cross-system setup, which by the way I'm going to experiment with VSTs if I get a little bit of time tonight. I've got a couple of free ones that I want to try, and I'm going to try and install them on the setup so when I put them on one computer they're going to appear on the other ones, because currently, I can open up a project that I do on my DAW, and after I finish doing it, I jumped over to the main computer, which I'm using right now, fired up Fruity Loops, loaded up the project, and it worked. The synchronicity worked. Everything came over. I had all the samples, all the project files saved. It could load all the VSTs, because they were the default ones that were bundled in with Fruity Loops. So yeah, that worked, and that was like I said, the fruits of my labor, right? Like I'd worked away at that for a little while, and having had a little break from actually composing, that that self-doubt managed to get back in there again. But luckily it did not prevail. It did not prevail. So anyway, this led on to having a funny dream as well, because, you know, you dream about things that you're like currently doing, right? Or things that are going on in your reality. And I had this dream. It had some kind of like weird backstory, but it ended up with me being at some sort of like lay-by stop off for when you're traveling, you know, a place to get food and petrol. And I fired up my laptop, and in the dream it was very vivid. It was just like I was using Fruity Loops on my laptop, and I was going through and, you know, doing some tweaking of sounds and dragging samples around, doing all of that. And my laptop then, it started going funny. The program crashed, and then the laptop started going and shaking, and smoke was coming out of it. And I had to be like, oh my god, the laptop's going to explode, and like threw it away, and boom. So weird. So very weird. That's my little story, basically. Okay? Okay, you got to fight the self-doubt, and then you have weird dreams after you've done it. Is essentially the TRDL of all of that, right? It could be a fear of you not being able to make music. Yeah, there's probably something subliminal going on. I mean, I know that stuff's going on in dreams, and sometimes dreams kind of like, I have a dream, and I know exactly what that's about. But a lot of the time, I think they're a little bit more loosely associated. And so I think it's just, you know, general anxiety or fear of things going wrong, just kind of like overlapping with something in recent memory, just using Fruity Loops. But I'm so glad I'm back to it now. It was like, oh, it's so much fun. I love it. Just hearing the sounds. My mind just starts like opening up with possibilities. I can write melodies. I start hearing bits of songs and putting it together. I really, really missed that whole process. I could be annoyed at myself that, you know, I lost sight of it all these years and didn't keep going. But really, I should just be happy that I'm back into it, because it's what I want to do. And I'm lucky enough to be able to do it, right? Xisuma, I do not know what I'm going to do. Follow my dream of doing music, which might not pay the bills, or get a real job. Should I let money pursue what I decide? Here's what I think. I think in life, you don't want to end up a slave to the 9 to 5, okay? You don't want to end up a slave to a job you don't like. You have to try and do something else. But you also got to realize that trying is not a guarantee that you will get where you want to go. And at the same time, you got to love what you're trying to do. Because then failure, in some definition of it, doesn't matter. Like, because doing it is fun, because you're passionate about it, because you love it. So if you love music, absolutely you should be doing it. Can you turn it into a job? You know, that would be wonderful if you could. But the real misstep is not trying to do the music, right? So if you try and you end up, you know, in a 9 to 5, then the fact that you tried is the great thing. Like, you'd enjoy doing the music and having fun with it, but if you'd never tried, that's the thing that, like, you know, you don't want to end up looking back at with regret or something, right? And, you know, for me, that's what I chose to do. I got to this point in my life where I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I don't want to just like work a pointless job forever, and I need something. And I thought, well, I've always loved making music. I've always enjoyed this and did it, you know, for fun and had a blast. But I never took it that seriously, even though I really loved it. And I decided just to try and take it seriously. This is like, oddly looking back on these moments, this is the beginning of me like developing a work ethic and the idea of being disciplined and working towards something big. But I would have never worded it like that at the time. I just sort of ambled into it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I started learning how to set up a record label, started taking my playing and my composing seriously, and made like a regular habit of doing it, and started working towards creating my first record, which you can hear. This is a perfect time for a plug. Perfect time for a plug. If you want to hear the first record I ever made, you should head over to my music channel. And the first video on that channel is me talking about that record. In the description box, you can find links to download and stream it. You can listen to it on Bandcamp. You can download a zip with the MP3s. So there you go. Xisuma Music on YouTube. Go check it out if you haven't done so already. Drop me a subscribe while you're there. You know, I just started doing this. I started making music and I loved it, and I was working towards making a success of it. But, you know, I wasn't trying to gear it to make money. I was just doing it and hoping it would be successful because I wanted to make the music that I wanted to do and loved. And I ended up doing that, but because I learned a little bit about hard work and working towards something, when I stumbled onto doing some YouTube videos, right, I kind of had the skills in place to then take that seriously, and look where that led. So there's something to be said about working hard for things and actually putting yourself out there and doing something, because if you're not out there in the world doing something, no opportunity is going to land in your lap. No one's going to come along and give you something for free. But if you're, you know, like I were, out there exercising your creativity and your abilities, something different might happen that just happens to work. You don't know what it's going to be, but that's why I believe, you know, I can't speak of what risks you should take. Should you quit your job to do music? I don't know. I'm not you. That's for you to figure out. But should you, you know, be pursuing these things? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, if you work a job, you still have some spare time. And if you don't think you got a lot, you got to find a way to find, you know, to get some more out of yourself. But I believe everyone should be like, maybe not everyone, but most people, you know, should be pursuing their creativity and their passions between doing that.